airplane in flight. Okay, folks, let's build it on the ground, put the wheels on, teach someone to fly it. We'll take it off, and off it goes. But right now, I just feel when it comes to climate change and green, we're building the airplane in flight, and that's just not the way to do it. But someone's going to get rich, so it's all good.
Yeah.
I don't care about my career anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I care about my children's,
Me too.
the country that they're going to live in. And my hope is this. My hope is a beautiful story from a chaplain in England. When the American flyers came over in the early days of World War II, when like their friends were getting blown out of the sky, and there was one particularly awful week, 2 weeks, where there was a very high percentage of these pilots were getting blown out of the sky. They went to the Air Force chaplain, and the pilot said, "Why?" I said, "Our friends are dying. Why should we do this? Why should we get up tomorrow and fly?" They did this at like literally 4:45. It's supposed to leave at 5:30. Why should we do this? Tell us why. They didn't say they weren't going to do it. So tell us why we should do this. Our friends are dying. Tell us. Humanity has come out of it. Has come out of the dark ages. We've come out of where people get burned at the stake. People believe and go along with this. And there's a darkness that we have come out of into a more of an enlightened period, a more freer period. And he said, this is a step back into those darkness, into the darkest parts of humanity. And we need to stand up for that now. And that requires this. So they all flew.
We are there again.
Yeah, and it requires a new set of flyers.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what he's talking about, but I'll bet you he's talking about Big Week. I mean, we called it Big Week, and I think it was early part of 1944. Just a massive effort as we're thinking about, the land invasion to Europe, the sacrifices. And we talked about it on the show before, Lee, and I'll just turn it over to you with this. We talked about the greatest generation and other generations, but just, gosh, I'm just thankful that we don't have to ask this generation to do that.
Yeah, I think that'd be that's a bridge too far, too tall in order, because this generation is the youth that are coming up today. They've got their electronic devices and they're all into that. And it's we in the United States, we're worried about the color of your skin. The teachers seem worried about critical race theory, your color of your skin, and things that. Personally, I think that we are beyond that. I don't think racism is near the problem that everybody thinks it is. But, what are the Chinese teaching their kids? Quantum physics, and they don't care about these other things. And, what he's talking about, this generation or people stepping up, the leadership of this country vilifies the other side. And some of that's got to change. I mean, we're all Americans, right? I mean, we believe different, we have different beliefs, but this far left that has taken control over the Democrats and is very scary for our country. And if we don't push back as Americans, as patriotic Americans who believe in life, liberty, in pursuit of happiness, what our Constitution is based on, we're not going to have the country that we grew up in. And I read somewhere they're talking about 2030 martial law or something to do with 2030. And it's going to be in such a, everybody's going to be such at each other's throats. There's no common ground. There will be no common ground. It'll be, whoever's in power is going to be, in control, and they're going to run it as a totalitarian state. And it's just, I'm at a loss for words sometimes in thinking about, how do we get beyond this? How do we get beyond the hatred between the two parties? And I don't have an answer to that. Maybe you do.
I think you're right. We need to, I think on both sides, and I wish my fellow Republicans, maybe we just need to take the high road first if you will, is we just need to turn the heat down. We need to turn the temp. Everyone needs to turn the temperature down, and just let's, when it comes to elections, don't talk. Republicans out there, don't tell me about your opponent. Just tell me what you're going to do for me. Tell me what you're going to do for your constituents, for the area that you're going to be elected in. Just focus on what you're going to do to make the people that are going to elect you better off. And let's you just dial down the rhetoric and dial down the heat, and just, I think voters will resonate more when they just hear about what you're going to do to make my life better, and then I'll vote for you. This other person, typically on the left, is just complaining and yelling and screaming about something you did 10 years ago. Just focus on the issues and let's win elections.
All right. Today on English with the Classics, we're doing something different. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of words that are spelled differently from how they sound. So today, we're going to show you guys what these words are and how we're spelling them from now on. Tell everybody. First word, bam. Go ahead and say it. No, lingerie, okay? That's how we're spelling it. Lingerie. Next word, say it. No, champagne, okay? That is champagne. All right, class, next word. Yeah, no, Wednesday, okay? It's bull. That is Wednesday. What's that? No, it's not. It's bologna. That is bologna, which is crazy because the way that bologna is spelled is baloney, because baloney is an actual word that means nonsense. What's that? Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure. No, tongu. That's what that is. It sounds like a damn dish. That is tongue. Oh, we're getting there. What's that? Cologne. That is cologne. You wanna know what's crazy? Cologne is an actual scent. It's actual fragrance of a type of cologne. Last one for today. What's that? No, it's not. Colonel. That's what that is. That is kernel, which is an actual word. It's a seed, or the inner part of a seed. Y'all couldn't think of nothing else, so you ran out of words and it was like, I know it's called the same thing. Let's just spell it differently. God.
Yeah, Colonel Meisner. So is it schedule or schedule? I don't know, but that's our attempt at humor tonight on the Council of Colonels. Carl, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely glad, under my picture on the wall in my group command office, it said Colonel with a C, because I think the other Colonel wouldn't look as cool, especially since my first name began with a C. So I kind of like the way we do it. Hey, before we leave the show, our hearts and prayers out with the British people. Obviously, it's been a rough week over there. I lived there for a few years and been to Buckingham Palace, saw a lot of the pomp and circumstance that goes on there, and learned to love and appreciate that. I mean, we came from that country, if you will, but definitely our hearts and prayers are going out to the people of the United Kingdom on the loss of Queen Elizabeth this week. But that's it from me. Back to you, Lee.
Well, thank you for joining us this evening. I know we went a little long. Veteran Nation and Mike Arthur probably saying, what the hell these guys still talking for? But want to say one more thing. MyPillow.com. If you go to them, he's a great American, and buy some of his products. Help him out to help out the American people, because he puts his money where his mouth is. And that's it for the Council of Colonels tonight. Up next is Veteran Nation, Mike Arthur and TC leading the way with that. And Mike, TC, how you guys doing tonight?
I'm fine. You put us on. I'm over here preparing for the show, and all of a sudden I'm up on screen.
Well,
oh
no,
my gosh! Oh my! Wait a minute! You guys heard that, right? You heard
Carl
that, guys.
Had to Carl made me do I don't know, it seemed like a 2-hour monologue tonight, because he had some communications problems, and I was sitting here looking fat, dumb, and stupid, right? Because I hadn't prepared for a 2-hour monologue. I hadn't prepared for a 5-minute monologue. But anyway, I know you guys are all prepared tonight. It looks like you got a great guest coming on with you. Carl, you got anything to say to these two guys?
No, you guys look great. Our video is looking better and better as we go along with the show. So it's good to see you guys after we took the summer off. Just a lot of things going on, and it's good to be back in the fall and be back on the show. It's good to see you guys. And we always forget. TC, do I feel like we always forget about you when we're saying we got Vet Nation coming up and we're talking about who's the guest or who the host of the show is? I feel like we forget you all the time back there, TC. So
the guest is always more important. You do mention
that's
Skipper a
true.
lot, but I think that's because you're used to Skipper. Like, I'm still relatively new to the deal. So, and Lee, hey, Lee, you do not sit there and look fat, dumb, and stupid. You do not look fat by any stretch of the imagination.
The dumb and stupid part, though, you're not going to comment on, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
did you guys did you have a good summer off? I mean, Skipper and I only took a couple of Tuesdays off, so.
I had a great summer off. I mean, I'm sure Carl did too. Yeah, I had a great summer. Just was hoping for when I came back to the show tonight. I was hoping for more positive things to talk about, but haven't seen a whole lot of positive stuff. Although we do have something positive to talk about. Next Tuesday night, we got a great guest that you guys might want to tune in for. His name's a retired Air Force Colonel Tom Renfer, and we're going to talk about anthrax and COVID shots and things of that nature, which is, I guess they're still in the news. They got their 35th booster they want to plug you with, but he'll be on the show next week.
Oh, it'll be a great show. Let's talk about anthrax, COVID, and boosters. That's not great. That's depressing.
This guy, you'll like this guy. He's an expert on all those things, and he took a lot of flack for his some of the things he did while he was in the military. And one of the smartest people. He's friends with Juan and I. He's one of the smartest people I've ever known, in all honesty. But he'll be a great guest next week for Carl and I to talk with. But anyway, that's all for me. Anything else from you, Carl?
I got a hookup for you guys, though.
Okay.
I rubbed elbows with Jesse Ventura on Saturday. So,
oh my goodness,
if you want, I can pull some strings and not get Jesse to come on the show, because we didn't know if he was going to show up to the event or not, and we got a final text at like 2:20 or 2:50. He's like, "Yeah, we're on our way." So hey, that was great. But we had a Defend the Guard rally on Saturday in St. Paul. And if you guys ever get a chance to reach out to the guys at Defend the Guard, I think it would be a wonderful opportunity for you guys to bring them on your show, because I know we're going to be angling to get them on as well. So Juan's either trying to tell us to wrap it up, or he's got a helicopter coming in. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's trying to get rid of us. So Carl, I'll see you next week. And anything else from you, Carl, tonight?
Nope. I'll see you guys next week. Looking forward to going to see Oklahoma at Nebraska this weekend. Looking forward to that. So check me out on ABC or ESPN. I'll be the one about that big in the cheap seats up on the north side. So,
well, Nebraska's got a new coach. I don't think they got much of a prayer against Oklahoma this year. I think you're going to let Notch one in the win column. But anyway, that's all for the Council of Colonels tonight. Vet Nation, the Skipper, and TC. You guys have a great show. We'll see you next week.
I think that's your best intro yet. I'm glad that you said the better half and not the fatter half. So. Well, yeah, but I mean, like, you were just, people love your comedy. Did you? That might be the funniest thing you've said in a long time. I was shocked to find out that you write your jokes ahead of time. The fact that you put effort into them almost makes it funnier. You may want to consider hiring someone. I'm sure Andrea from I'm sure Andrea from Decompression Chamber would be willing to like take that up for you. I don't know if we can afford you not to have someone write your jokes at this point. It, you know, I'm thankful for that, but I haven't, I have invested as much as I've been paid by the show. So kill Dozer, kill Dozer, kill Dozer, kill. Hey, so he was in, so he was enlisted then. Oh, okay. And that's good for our guest.
I am doing well. Thank you for having me this evening.
Welcome to. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk.
Absolutely. I hope you get there. Share the TEDx stage. It's totally worthwhile. Get out
They
there and
they
do it.
would they would not have me.
That's what I originally thought. So I was
I
pretty shocked to hear my name go up on there.
Well, you started
But
something
yeah.
worthwhile. I just do a podcast, so
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I tried. Right on. Well, wait a minute. Okay, so you and I we chewed some of the same dirt. We were both in Hellman, right? We were talking about this before. I was there in 2011. So I was there, right, March until late October 2011. I was in Kajaki and Sangan. So similar areas around the same time frame. Never happen to bump into each other. And what was your mission again? Right on. Yep. Yeah, it was kind of a handshake and a wave goodbye. It was one of those things. And then everything got worse immediately after that. So yeah. Yeah,
You know,
29 Palms was my first ever duty station.
normally when Skipper and I leave an area, things improve.
Oh, it has that effect.
Yeah, I'm like, so Skipper, look, you could take that to bed with you tonight. That you left an area and it actually your presence being gone made it worse.
That's what it was. Oh my goodness. Oh
Wait a
God.
minute, what was? Oh wait, was that one of the uh, hundreds and thousands of dollars worth, millions and billions of dollars worth of equipment we left behind, and they crashed it already?
There you go.
You know that was part of the plan, that they would kill
Nailed it.
themselves. Yeah, that was part of the plan, that they would kill themselves trying to use the equipment they didn't know how to use. See, this is Dark
It's smarter than
Biden.
you think.
Yeah, Dark Brandon had this all mapped out. Hey, the storm is coming.
Amen. You got
I
to
just
trust
lost
the
Skipper.
plan. That's what it is.
Mike picked up on it right away.
Right away. Nailed it. Oh, it's going well. As I always tell folks whenever I get on the phone, it could always get better, right? Position can always improve. And so what we've done is I originally went out there and I was trying to teach people a do self model, right? So empowering leaders. One of the things that I tell people is I entertain, educate, and empower leaders. And I'm there to be able to facilitate your ability to use this tool, right? So in the DoD, across the DoD, we have just over $1 trillion in our budget, right? And so a business leader might look at me and be like, "Okay, I don't have $1 trillion in my budget. I definitely don't need something this big." What we do is we eat that elephant one bite at a time by breaking it down. So you have an overall op order, and then you break it down incrementally in between the different divisions and so on, brigades. Let's say, for instance, for us, it goes from divisions down to the regiments and then down to the battalions and all the way out into the squads and so on, right? So it disperses and disseminates, and that's in between officers and enlisted, right? So when it gets to the squad leader down on the absolute ground pound level, a lot of people don't even realize that we write operations orders. So when I go in and I'm talking to people about this, I'm like, look, I was a sergeant when I got out of the Marine Corps. I started as a slick sleeve private. I needed to learn all of this stuff from square one also. Not a big deal. The majority of the time when I talk to people about stuff, it's small talk. You know what I mean? I talk to people more often about my TED Talk and how to navigate life's explosive situations and all of that stuff, because in all actuality that's what wins over the hearts and minds of the people who are going to wind up using your stuff, right? You
Mhm.
can say that you want to empower leaders, but we both know that that's just blowing smoke for a lot of people. It's like, kind of, all right, when the metal meets the meat downrange, how is it actually going to play out? And so you have to be able to delegate to your leaders, who are then going to take authority for that area of the mission and then carry it out, right? And we learned this. It was like my biggest chip on the shoulder when I got out of the Marines, is not even giving over the rank or all of the cool equipment, getting to carry around a rocket launcher and call for air and stuff like that. What it was is being around highly effective people who cared as much about the mission as you did. And when I got into the Marine Corps, I had no idea what an op order what. I was the kid who watched the guy climb up the side of the cliff and fight a dragon. Okay, you know what I mean? With his flaming sword, and was like, "Yeah, I'll be an infantryman." And I scored high enough, GT wise. I could have done whatever I wanted, but I chose to be an infantryman because I wanted to go downrange. I wanted to learn all of the cool skill sets. I wanted to be like the weapons guy and everything. And then somewhere down the line, somebody said, well, hey, if you want to be in charge, then you have to figure out how to write one of these op orders, because you're in the op order all of the time, right? You get briefed the op order. Just real quick question. When was the last time you went into your place of employment and somebody briefed you their business plan? How often does that actually happen in the civilian world?
Ooh,
It doesn't.
I've had to brief them when I'm gone to people asking for money, but yeah, I've never had anyone brief me there.
There you go. There it is, right there. That's exactly right. The majority of the time when I talk to people, it's because I had to pitch in order to be able to go and get capital. And that was it. I looked at my squad leader and I flat out said, hey, how do I get to be in charge? And he was like, you write the plan, right? Going back to the same point. So in your line of work, you had to be able to put together a pitch so that way you could go in front of potentially a sponsor. Let's say, for instance, hey, we want to see your business plan. We want to see what the return on investment is going to be when we get in front of your audience members, that type of stuff, right? So, but that's not what people buy. People buy you, right? People buy you. They buy your vision. You're just pulling it out of your head and putting it down on paper. I need to help you do that. And so therein lies the biggest thing overall with 5paragraph. And it could always get better. And it starts by going to 5paragraph.com and scheduling a strategy session. So that way we can get together. So yeah.
I feel like
how
we
many
just
op
picked up a
orders did you guys?
sponsor for the show.
What's it? Yeah, there you go. I would,
Yeah, we just picked up a new sponsor for the show. I know another show that could use a sponsor. So if you're interested,
there you go.
I'm pitching myself.
They got to pitch. They got to pitch me their 5-paragraph plan. How's that sound?
Well,
my 5-paragraph plan is: I need a paragraph 1. I 2 need 3 your 4 5 money. So there you go. There
it is.
TC's got
I
a coffee
promise
plan
to
for
spend
sure.
it wisely. Right. Goodness.
So
you should
so
work in government.
Are you finding that with the work that you're doing, that you're making some headway, that people are starting to recognize the need for an actionable plan as they're looking at, whether they're pitching themselves, pitching a business idea, or something like that? I mean, because that's applicable to everything. Like, you walk in and you're looking to pick up a mid-management position at a company you've never worked for before. You walk in and they always ask you in the interview process, and and if you're paying attention these days, the interview process has now turned into a series of 3 30-minute interviews or 60-minute interviews. And I keep hearing this horror stories. I applied for a job and they made me do 3 60-minute interviews. And I'm like, whatever happened to just going in and saying, hey, I'm the best person for this job because I'm smarter than the guy you just interviewed?
Right. I showed up. I'm here.
I'm here, and I was early.
Actually, you're touching on a great money-making idea that I had, TC. So for all the viewers watching, if you're going to be going to a job interview, here's what I will do for you. I will write up the most perfect resume ever, apply to the same job, and then purposefully blow the interview so that you look better. And I'll do that for about $50 an interview.
Love that.
What if that interview is a plane flight away from where you're?
Oh, they do it Zoom now. I'll say I'm willing to relocate.
That's a great idea. Yeah, to directly answer your question, TC, because it really is a good one. I get so many leaders who immediately turn around and go, "Man, that's exactly what we need at our organization. I'm not the decision maker. I'll happily transfer you along to the decision maker." Right? So it really still is getting in front of the general and being able to brief that individual on what you want to do. I think today's day and age, one of the issues that we encounter, and you're going to hear this in business development and in sales, is that we're leaning too heavily onto data. We're leaning too heavily on key performance indicators. And it's a top down approach where we just need every cog in the machine to keep doing exactly what we said. And if anybody steps out of line, they mess up what is the data at the bottom. Okay, our method of engaging people is to go to the people that are down the line who have done this job day in and day out, and they're the experts at it, and they can tell us in their debrief what's the significant actions. If they're leaders who are doing a good job inside of their organization, they can give us topic, discussion, recommendation over and over and over again. And literally we do this. That's one of the ways that we start inside of an existing organization that has structure. Like with one of our clients, Mid-Michigan Health, we went into their hospital and literally talked with the nurses that are on the ground level, right, that are doing the job day in and day out. We helped them with these things called huddle boards. And so they brief a fragmentary order, right? An immediate action plan. And that's how they stand up. And then when they get, done at work, they do a debrief. And so it's those significant actions in doing that we realized in order for that hospital to achieve magnet status, they needed to eliminate slips, trips, and falls. We didn't know that based on the data. We knew that there were incident reports, slips, trips, and falls were in it. We didn't understand how to fix that problem. The people on the ground did.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get mission buy-in from your people, just go ask them what they think and then go do it. Wow. You will be amazed with the results because they're doing it on a daily basis, right? I mean, this is one thing where I legitimately had General Mattis walk up to me. We went out on one patrol together in Ramadi, Iraq in 2007. And he walked up to me. I was a young NCO, first trip down range as a non-commissioned officer. I was a vehicle commander in charge of my own truck, right? I mean, you're putting a lot of power in somebody's young hands when you give them a Humvee with a 50 cal on top and a bunch of bang bang in the back, okay? Like, I can just go do whatever I want. I can go off the rest if I really care, right? And meanwhile, Mattis walks up to me, and he looks at me, and he's like, "How we doing, gents?" I'm like, "Living the dream," right? And he's like, "All right, yeah, cool. So all that BS aside, what actually is going on here?" And really did care about what was going on. Like, you really did care. That's so rare because so many people are jockeying for their own position and elevating up. So it's like, does it come across? Yeah, with the people that are in the ranks that are doing the job. Yeah, they absolutely want 5-paragraph. Whereas with a lot of people that are out there that are saying, "Oh yeah, I want I want everything for free. I'm very entitled and I only care about facts and key performance indicators." Well, those companies don't live very long. So people-based companies where you need to delegate authority, yeah, it definitely comes across really well. So, and is it a one-size-fits-all for every mission? I like to think so, but I think also, when your only tool is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? You know what I'm saying? So, but that's the thing. I've applied the 5-paragraph to a number of different operations and a number of different missions. I know that it works. So
that's it always amazes me, like the things in the military and with even veterans, how many times we try to reinvent the wheel or create a process, and it's like, no, we already do this. We've already done this.
That's right.
For me as a logistician, where everything it's going to be a delay, it's going to take up time, it's going to take up money, it's going to take up just just the Marines. I used to tell people, look, if you want good morale and for your Marines, don't take away their time, their money, or their child. Those three things, you leave them alone, they'll do anything you want because that's what they care about. Those three things right there. If you leave those three alone, you could tell them, hey, move this whole mountain. They're going to actually do it. Yeah.
And if you add crayons into that for Marines, they'll move the mountain twice.
Delicious. That's what that is. Why
that's like
Penny,
that's like a starburst.
I swear, one time I had my staff sergeant, and he opened the Humvee door, and he was like, Penny, why aren't you wearing a Kevlar? I was like, because my helmet got in the way of licking the window. And he was just like, oh, man. Oh, I can't even with this guy. It's one of those deals.
Michael, where are you from? I'm trying to imagine Wisconsin or Michigan.
Michigan.
Right.
Yeah, I'm originally from Michigan. I was born and raised right in the middle of the mitten, and then in Midland, Michigan, right in the middle of the mitten. And I wound up, joining straight out of high school as soon as humanly possible. I think it was because I saw what was going on downrange, but I already wanted to be a Marine. It was like I was done with my hometown, and I just wanted to pop smoke. You know what I mean?
So you joined the most southern of all the branches.
I did. Well, southern and on the coast. And I'm a West Coast Marine, so I went to boot camp out in San Diego.
See, I don't know if the Marine Corps is as southern as it is redneck, because pretty much all we're doing is it's a drinking, fitness, and gun club.
Yeah, we're hunters. That's the biggest thing. Yeah,
it's a lot of southern in the Marines.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially being in Beaufort and all of that other stuff down here. I live in North Carolina,
and Jersey. Oh, you're living in North Carolina. I said, well, no, and some Jersey.
Oh yeah,
mostly southern and a few people from Jersey. So
that is correct.
People don't realize.
So you're living in North Kakalani now, huh?
Yes. Yeah. I actually live out in the Outer Banks right now.
Oh, very nice.
Which is pretty crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you on one of the islands, or are you coastal?
No, I'm on one of the islands. I'm in Roanoke Island.
Really?
So, yeah. Yeah, it's a very interesting place to live.
Are you afraid of disappearing?
No, I'm not, because I'm very loud, and they're gonna find me. No, the Lost Colony is actually right down the road. All of that, the Croatan thing, and all of that other stuff. It's all right there. It's weird. It's like living in Disney World all the time. Okay, like it's one of those things. It's where people come to vacation, and I like the Outer Banks. I think it's beautiful.
Everybody that lives there is really, they're not those people. They're not the summer homers. They're not the vacationers.
That's
they're not the mainlanders. They're the ones that are out there scrimping and fighting and digging for a living every day and going out with lobster boat. Well, I guess you're probably not getting as many lobster boats, but they're definitely going out fishing and
tuna, drum,
crab.
All of that. Yeah, crabbing, shrimping. Yeah. Yep. And when you have those conversations, being from Michigan, growing up, being a hunter and all of this other stuff, when I first moved down to North Carolina, I wanted to live in the Raleigh area, but I wanted to have a little bit of land. Okay. Now I'll tell you why. So I lived in Lewisburg. I lived 35 minutes door to door from downtown Raleigh, but I lived on 20 acres. So I could kill a deer out my back window, which I call the ATF and FBI and the EIEIO. And I'm like, hey, can I shoot something from in my house? And they're like, what do you mean? Like a person? Is there a guy there? And I'm like, no, man, like a deer. And they're like, yeah, we don't care what you do out there. You're on 20 acres. It doesn't matter. And so which is great because I was, okay, so wait a minute. I got to back up. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I left Camp Pendleton out the back gate, out Fallbrook, and I went to Boston for school. Do you know how non-conducive for my lifestyle Boston, Massachusetts is? I I think that I needed to just go be there to be where where one of the founding bedrock landmark areas of our nation is. And it's also where America goes to college. And I needed to get over my imposter syndrome because being a non-commissioned officer and training 17th lieutenant details, I've trained about 40,000 officers, and I want to know what the one a 4-year degree has on me. Okay, so I'm trying. So I wanted to go and experience college in a college town at a university doing 4-year degree things. And what I found out is that I hated it. So it was one of those things, like, it was the most validating experience. Wow, I did the right thing. I enlisted straight out of high school. Good job, me. Anybody else who wants to go into the trades and not forgive somebody else's student loans, go into the trades. I'll help you write your business plan. Sound good? It'll be fine. Don't even worry about it. It's one of those deals. But like, I can't believe that I lived in Boston and I rode the T every day. So every day I was on the subway and I would hear guys like, "You guys going to see that new Mackie Mac picture coming out? What's it about?" "I don't know, like titties and booze and money and stuff." There's like guns and Mackie Macs in it. Who cares? Let's go. And that was it. And going to Fenway and doing Sweet Caroline during the 7th inning stretch, that's fun. Fenway is fun. I don't care where you're from, but Fenway's fun. Have fun paying to get on the Mass Turnpike in order to get downtown. So, but it was all of that. I needed to experience it. Like, I had to go to Los Angeles. I had to see Los Angeles when I was out in California so that I could take away all of that BS veneer that Hollywood, gave us, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? So then, anyhow, I needed to get around fellow veterans, and I needed to get around veterans who are business-minded. And so I came down here to North Carolina, and I'm really glad that I did. It is a veteran-friendly place, and there's a lot of patriots around here.
How are the native bankers treating you?
The native bankers? They're not that bad. Are you talking about the natives that I have to trade beads with? Is that what you mean? Or are you talking about
I'm talking about the people who were born and raised in the banks.
Oh, the finance side of things as a whole.
No. The people who live in the
Outer banks.
That were
Oh, I
born and
got you.
raised
They're
there,
doing
the
great.
natives.
The natives of the Outer Banks.
Do they see you as just another mainlander coming out there to screw up their lives, or have they embraced you as a islander now?
Yeah, I kind of get to sidestep that because I've got the veteran card. You know what I'm saying? So like that's kind of the thing.
Years, so you know.
Right. They're kind of they're like, okay. Yeah, like I care.
I feel like Juan had a picture he was going to show us, and it disappeared. It looked like Juan throwing a ball.
Oh wow, that is Juan.
Any idea where that one is at?
Is that Fenway?
Were you cleaning up?
That's in Fenway.
That is
Fenway. Wow, Juan. That is awesome.
There you go.
Did they have you there on cleanup detail or what?
Yeah, there was nobody there. I need to clean up the garbage on the after everybody was gone. So I figured, let me just take a picture. So no, I was actually lucky enough to, as you can see, I was in uniform representing Hanscom Air Force Base out of Boston, and I got to throw the first pitch. From the top of the mount, as you can tell, with good form, and it was a strike, by the way. So
love that.
Did the
That's
pitcher
so
move
great.
about halfway from the plate, or
I'm sorry.
nothing?
No, the catcher was not halfway up the plate. No,
I mean the catcher.
no. So
There was
actually,
probably
I tell you what.
a lot of pressure to throw a strike because you're Puerto Rican, so you got to represent,
Yes.
right?
Yes, exactly. So, and luckily enough, at that time in my life, I was also running a baseball organization, youth baseball. So doing batting practice, throwing. You know, I was in top shape at that point for to throw the ball, but and my kids were there, my family were there,
Nice.
right at the bottom. So that was when they mentioned my name and they mentioned their names for 15 seconds. One of my kids said, "Dad, you're kind of cool." But it was only 15 seconds. That was it. So
Oh, that's a great story. What
So,
a great fatherly moment.
so tell us, how did you end up getting invited onto TEDx?
You know, that's an interesting story unto itself. I was going to Bunker Labs, doing a thing at the time, and another one of the attendees had said, "Hey, you know, this TEDx thing, it's happening in Raleigh," and just kind of shared with me the URL, and I went there. It was, you know, TEDx is a salon license, so in each unique market, they get to put it on however they choose to put it on because it's a licensing opportunity. So in this market in Raleigh, they put it on at the church on Morgan, right downtown in Morgan Street. So there were about 700 people in the building, and then they had another, I don't know, 700 people in the building across the street. It was very cool. So I wound up going and applying and put in a 2-minute, call it like a teaser or an icebreaker of sorts, explaining that life has bombs that are going to go off, and I know how to get through those bombs. And so it was enough for them to want to interview me. So the reason why I say that, you know, you got to go and apply, and they're going to have you jump through hoops. I don't know what hoops they're going to make you jump through, but these are the ones that I had to. Right. So I wound up, you know, that 2-minute, that icebreaker, whatever, that took me about 120 takes before I got something that I actually thought was decent. And then I put it to them, and they said, "Yep, we're going to interview this guy." So I had to do, you know, kind of similar to what you were talking about before. I had to do like 3 60-minute interviews in order to get a TED Talk. You know, that's how it should be to get a TED Talk, not to get a job at, you know,
It's funny
convenience store or
you
something.
mentioned
So
Bunker Labs. They just reached out to me because I've been doing a lot of the stuff as we move this show into becoming a nonprofit, and I got one of their things, and I was on one of their seminars today. So pretty interesting
nice.
group. Looks like they do help veterans quite a bit. So people who are watching, I would say that is. Looks to be a pretty good resource. I'm going to do more of their stuff, you know, watch more of their webinars and whatnot that
Yeah.
they have. Uh,
Oh yeah. Well, I would plug. Okay, so this is my rub, right? Because I used to work for Bunker. I was the director of programs here in Raleigh, right? Uh, I believe, because I also went through the Institute of Veterans and Military Families. I went to entrepreneurship boot camp for veterans. I believe that that is where you can go and you can be a veteran working in a new mission. So I often tell people I went to IVMF, a Marine, and I came back a veteran, right? And I say it that way because it's like I needed to find somebody who is in this new mission of entrepreneurship, business leadership, fellow veteran, had connections, and then we could network and stuff like that. Anytime that I've ever tried to pull somebody out of my past, whether, you know, we served in the Marine Corps together or we were friends growing up or whatever, it just doesn't work. You have to be both meeting that same commitment level, right?
mhm.
So I say that EBV has less of a understanding at a local level the way that Bunker does. And Bunker is your local get together with your fellow veterans. I would even say come into Bunker, get together, see what people are doing, whatever. Potentially go and apply to these other things that I highly recommend IVMF and EBV. So it's one of those where Bunker Labs is your local surround yourself with that network, it's your bunker. And we do bunker brews. At least when I was doing it, we did bunker brews. That was every Thursday at 1300. It was great, you know. And I enjoyed that. It gave me what was the testing board, or the springboard in the test pool, essentially, to use a double metaphor, in order to test 5-paragraph. Right? So like you were talking about, don't reinvent the wheel. What I did is I took the op order and I took nuts and bolts of great business plans from the Institute of Veterans and Military Families, and I combined that to make 5-paragraph, and then I went and pitched Bunker Labs on 5-paragraph. And then in doing that and in carrying that through, what I was, because I was one of the plank holders with Bunker and Raleigh, and then, coming out of that, Dean Bunchu, who I would be remiss if I didn't mention his name on here because he gave me a great opportunity in Bunker. He asked one time, he said, out of anybody here in the room who puts entrepreneur on their business card? And I raised my hand, and he was like, exactly. That's why Mike Penney is going to be the director of programs, because it's a total identity. And you need to commit yourself the way that you did. When you got on the Yellow Footprints, if you were 50-50, don't even bother. I'm going to tell you right now, you better be all in when you join the military of any branch. You better be all in when you go out there. Otherwise, you will fail miserably, and it will be a god-awful experience. But I'm telling you, when I was filling my sandbags in order to get into the chow hall in Ramadi 05, I was all in. It was one of those. It was like, I don't care. I need to do this in order to get the job done, and that's it. It's like when JFK went up to the guy he was sweeping in Cape Canaveral, and he goes, so what do you do here? And the guy, without skipping a beat, he looks at him and he goes, I'm helping put a man on the moon. He had so much mission buy-in and what was going on that he, sweeping the floor was going to wind up creating, winning the war, essentially. So, anyhow, that's the thing. That's my spiel on Bunker and IVMF, and they helped me so much, because you definitely do not do this alone. You have to be able to get together with other people and make it happen.
Absolutely. That's being TC with my show, or with this show. TC has his own show that he does as well. We've been talking about so many things behind the scenes. Okay, what can we do? Better guests. What can we do in terms of getting more people engaged? What can we do in terms of selling merchandise? So we're doing a lot of the same stuff.
Better hosts.
Yeah, better hosts. Better jokes. A lot of it's going to take a lot of work.
Jokes would be a great place to start. I won't even go for better. Just like jokes would be good.
That's wherever we can
just
better. But with a lot of these things, it is a grind. You have to be very, very dedicated to it. So I definitely hear a lot of the things you're saying and speaking right to me. And everyone watching, I would encourage them to absolutely go check out 5-paragraph and take advantage of some of the services that you offer. Because as I always used to say in logistics, you can either do it faster or cheaper. There's always a way to do it faster or cheaper, or sometimes both. And you just got to find that niche. But TC.
Well, and with your MOS, it's one of those. It's a big word, but it's an even bigger mission. I'm telling you what. I mean, that's the thing that people don't realize about the Marine Corps, is that infantry only comprises about 8 to 10% of the Marine Corps, and it fluxes based on reserve capacity. The rest of the Marine Corps is the reason why our mission gets done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I didn't have logisticians who were putting supply chain management in place, I wouldn't be able to eat. What are you talking about? An entire military operates off of its stomach more than its feet, right? I mean, you got to have chow and water for everybody. Let's just start there. And then we're going to do beans, bullets, then bad guys. We'll
Don't
figure
talk
that
me
out.
into
Oh,
a
and bandages,
combat
but
box
I don't.
sticker tattoo because I'm not getting one.
That's excellent.
But TC,
Yeah, it's one of
Michael
those things.
is a grunt, and you had a video that you wanted to watch. I would be interested in seeing his take on the video.
We put one to sleep.
He's like, oh.
Oh,
So
yeah.
for anybody that's not aware, that is out at the National Training Center at Fort Ord, California, and that was, I can't remember off the top of my head which regiment that was, but
11th
that was
ACR attack. 11th ACR's attack on a prepared defense by 180.
yeah. So what people need to understand is that those were quadcopters that were outfitted with Miles gear, which, for anybody who doesn't know, Miles gear is, the non-lethal way of fighting war when you're training, but they have the capacity to carry lethal weapons on those little things. And we laud technological advances, especially those things which cause an increase in survivability for American fighting men and women, no matter their branch. The problem with drone warfare is that it disconnects the humanity from war. And the thing that keeps war humane is the reality of you having to pull a trigger as you're staring down a barrel or around a corner at another human being. And when you equip the military with equipment like this, it detaches you from decision making. It's like playing a video game. You get to, the enemy gets to regenerate and come back and spawn, and if you make a mistake, it's no big deal because it's not real, because it's happening on a screen. And I don't want to see American fighting men and women, and there we have to deal with the reality that it is now fighting men and women, because we are putting women in these advanced combat roles or forward combat roles. But it's a terrifying proposition to think that we are now just even advertising and bragging about our ability to use these things. And the fact that I believe that whatever you see the military use in its preparation for wars with other nations eventually makes its hands into civilian law enforcement. And we already know that previous administrations have had no problem sending drones, but in the case of one particular administration, they've used drones to take out, and people can say what they want, but they have used drones to take out American citizens overseas without due process by stating that they are a danger to American security overseas. Based on the fact that we're dealing with a reality where almost 50% of the population of the United States has been declared extremists for their vote, I don't think we're too far away from seeing this kind of technology put in the hands of people who do not have the best interests of a republic at heart. And it bothers me to no end that
we have the military posting this publicly. And I guess it's better that they post it publicly than hide it from us. But they're bragging about what they have the ability to do, and I guess people do not understand that's a squadron.
That's
of
40
lethal
of them.
capability.
That was 40.
That's a squadron. That's a squadron of lethally capable unmanned aerial aircraft going out to make contact with the enemy here. That could be turned against us. And for me, as a patriot, as a constitutional originalist, this is why things like the Second Amendment exist. And we have a president right now who said, you can't take us on. We have F-15s and nuclear bombs. He could have just as well added Predator drones and quadcopters to that. And we have trained up an entire generation of a fighting force to do a good chunk of their fighting from behind a screen with unmanned aerial aircraft. Or vehicles, whatever the UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles. I don't think we're too far away from seeing it being used here against us.
Right. Well, and remember, so the first time I ever saw a drone downrange was in 2005, and it went ripping down an alleyway in Ramadi, and I thought a damn alien aircraft came whizzing through the city, right? And I did not know what was going on. So I got with my buddy. It was like, do you see this freaking thing hovering around and stuff? He's like, you saw it too? I saw it, man. And I'm like, what is going on? This made its way onto the debriefs, right? Because we saw these things. We didn't know what the hell they were. Any of this stuff made its way onto the debriefs. Then all of a sudden, we get these. It was like the first iteration of the Dragon Eye, right? And those things, look, we got to start somewhere, right? You know what I'm saying? But launching one of those things was like, what? Who came up with this? Okay. And then now we've got a squadron of quadcopters.
It was a long, stretchy string, and two guys would have to pull it.
What? And of course, okay, look, I get it. Ha ha. Yeah, you're going to get me to do it. Okay, cool. I'll be one of your guinea pigs. They would launch this thing in the back of your head, man. You're out there like trying to launch balloons and flying. Okay, so this is where we started with it. And originally it was one of those to where we were only going to be using it essentially as like a spy copter. And you knew that it was only going to be a matter of time before we were going to start putting things on it. I mean, right now, we had decisive payloads, is the way that they like to articulate it, a decisive payload, right? I mean, I'm waiting. Look, I already know that you can't strap a Maud Deuce to the bottom of at least one of those little ones because you ain't got enough. You know, you just don't have enough to keep the thing aloft, plus all of the ammunition you want to use. So it has to use decisive payloads. That's how they always had it. We were part of an embedded advisor element when I was in Kajaki, where there was a very small group of us and a very big group of Afghans. And one of the things that we would do is we would go out and we would operate as forward observers for close air support. Drones were phenomenal assets when we were trying to make positive identification so that we could deliver another payload. So we're flying a drone by in order to see whether or not said Taliban are there so that we can fire a missile at them. Well, okay, so we just married the two up and took one step back, right? And so I get it because a group of guys that are in Las Vegas playing video games that blow people up with drones are getting combat action ribbons. That's a real thing. So that you have a person
That was said with
who,
not a shred of bitterness at all. It was just
not at all. That was just
none.
a fact
None.
of life, right? Like you're sitting there in your gaming chair with your joystick. By the way, do you remember what the nomenclature for the G-Boss joystick was? If you're issued a Microsoft Toughbook and a joystick, you were issued a Thrustmaster Hot Ass Cougar. That is the nomenclature of that joystick, a Thrustmaster Hot Ass Cougar.
I wish that Juan could come on for this part because I want to ask a question. Juan, you got a second?
Oh, that piped him up.
I'll be there. 1 second.
He's coming.
Well, while you're listening, you flew the F-111, correct?
Yes.
That was a ground-to-air strike aircraft, correct?
It was actually air to ground. Yes.
Air to ground. Excuse me, it was air to ground. Thank you for the correction. I knew what I was trying to say. I just didn't say it.
I know what you meant.
It was air to ground. It was a fast attack bird, for lack of better terminology. It was a much faster version of the A-10.
Much faster, and we carry a lot more. Yeah.
And a lot more, but it also had, the A-10 has its own tasking.
Yes, I mean they were completely different. To be honest, they were completely different tasks. One was more of deep interdiction.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is more of close air support.
Right. So you have the F-111, and you're piloting that, and you carried a massive payload on the F-111 for ostensibly a fighter bomber.
Correct.
That could carry everything from laser guided missiles and bombs to did you have cannons or rockets or both?
Capability was there, but we never. I'll tell you, I never even practiced with rockets. And the airplane did not have. We're gonna say a bullet type device.
Cannon.
A cannon. Yeah, that was
You
actually taken out.
You had some air-to-air defense.
We did. Yeah, but it was missiles.
But there was a reality in the F-111, even then in the F-111, there was a reality to the humanity of it.
Meaning, what do you mean?
That you were still seeing your target, in the sense of you were there on target. You knew as you were flying over. You weren't looking through a screen. You were there to deliver that payload personally. You were pulling the trigger. You were releasing the bomb. You were sending the missile. You knew what you were doing because you were there.
Yeah, so a little bit of a difference, yes. I mean, like I said, F-111 being an air interdiction type of airplane, going deep, we went mostly against hard targets, buildings, radar sites, that kind of stuff. Did we know there were people in there? Probably, yeah. I mean, the A-10, in the other hand, as I had some friends, close friends of mine that flew A-10s during the first Gulf War. This particular pilot would tell me, as soon as he put the nose on a tank or a radar site or something like that, he could see the people scrambling out of the tank. Which was
that's just because they were trying to go see the A-10.
Yes. They wanted to get a souvenir.
Everybody wants to see the A-10.
Yeah, they wanted to get a depleted uranium souvenir from the A-10.
I bring this up because it's a respect issue for I am saying something positive about the Air Force.
Thank you.
It's a respect issue because whether you're in the F-111 or you're in the A-10 or you're in some other joint strike type of aircraft, it's still a human being over the target.
Yes, you are correct.
You're not operating.
Even though technology nowadays, you can loft a bomb, 10 miles away, and not really be over the target. This thing
Right.
will either glide all
But
the way.
but even with like JDAM, and does JDAM even exist anymore? I don't know. I'm so
Yeah, it
out of
does.
the loop.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
But even with JDAM, as you have a forward observer, or somebody out there is lasing that target, there's a human connection to that. You know what you're doing. And I think the thing that has removed the humanity is that when you look at drones now, you're thousands and thousands of miles away most of the time, a lot of times.
Well, you're right, but I would also like to bring up another unmanned vehicle, right? Because they took tanks out of the Marine Corps. And we definitely have the capability to create remote tanks. I mean, we definitely, like, I've seen remote firing platforms in use before.
I'll take it one
You know
further.
what I mean? So we have the ability to deploy that.
I think the future of convoys is going to be drone convoys with one person controlling one vehicle via a drone, and every other vehicle is just going to fall right in line. Now, I still think there's going to be humans within that convoy, but I think that's the future of convoys.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'm not saying that all of the drone type usage, spying, intelligence gathering, things like that, I don't have an issue with. I'm just really starting to struggle. Here's what it is. It makes it very easy for the United States to remove the humanity from warfare and say, look, like, yeah, we might be fighting this engagement, but we're not putting your boys at risk. We're not putting your girls at risk.
Yeah.
So it makes it very easy for us to continue engagements that should have been stopped years ago. Because troops are getting safer.
I'm really glad you brought this issue up, and because here in Right American Media, apart from all the video stuff that we do, we actually I have a staff of one that writes articles for us, and I want to make sure you can talk about this while I present this. This is one of the articles, and it's in reference.
Oh, I can't hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm trying to produce and do things at the same time. It's in reference to this Air Force captain, who flew drones for a long time, and ended up committing. His name is Kevin Larson, by the way, and he flew hundreds and hundreds of drone
missions,
and he killed a lot of people and destroyed a lot of things. And let me just put it right there, and that's a picture of him right there. The name of the article, or the title of the article, is "Service with a Price on Your Soul." Even though this hero, this gentleman here, was thousands of miles away, it took a toll on him, and he ended up committing suicide a year or two later. He was flying MQ-9 Reapers. He had 650 combat missions between 2013 and 2018, and of course, he went home every night, or he went home during the day, or whatever. He was thousands of miles away, but it took a toll on him, knowing that he was. Now, we took the humanity out of it, kind of, right? But this is an example that it actually takes a toll as well. And so I guess that's all I wanted to
say. I think it does. I think the toll is different in one respect. And I say that having talked to people that have flown those types of missions, that a lot of times the difference for them is the question of, did I actually kill the enemy?
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me because this is
No,
very important. Let me
it's your
correct
network.
this.
You say whatever you want.
Let me correct this. He didn't kill himself. He didn't kill himself. What happened was that he was having psychological problems, but because he was not considered a combat veteran, there was no psychological evaluation to see what was happening to him. Because he was not a combat veteran. He was thousands of miles away.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me the VA screwed up?
Yeah, exactly.
This is
So
kind of like
Shocked I'm
how
not.
the people who, the casualty assistance people who, when bodies come into Delaware and they, have to clean and dress and prepare the bodies for burial, that's some of the highest rates of PTSD that you see throughout the military. Like, it's off the charts going through that mission. So this is kind of like that, it seems.
yeah, actually, guys.
I want you guys to understand. I'm not downplaying the importance of what they do. I think
It's an important discussion.
it's not an attack on the drone. It's not an attack on the pilots of the drones. Whatever their rank
No.
or their structure might be. It's a conversation I think that we have to have, because I think the more that we detach people and risk from war, the easier it's going to get for our elite, the regime, whoever's in charge of the regime at the time, the easier it will be for them to justify protracted, long engagements that
That's
are
right.
still massive amount of
That makes
a
sense.
massive waste of American taxpayer dollars, as well as psychologically debilitating and crippling to people who don't have the benefit of being considered combat vets because they weren't ever in a field of operation. And I think add into that the burden of wondering, when I pulled that trigger, when I pushed that button, did I actually take out an enemy, or did I take out a wedding procession, as we've seen in many drone attacks from the Obama era administration on up?
Guys, and I should have reread this before I even spoke because I'm messing the whole story up. But I'm gonna read it to you.
Welcome to my show. That's how my entire show goes most of the time.
Yeah. So, you know, like I said, he flew over 650 missions, combat missions, and he started having some problems, and he tried to cope with the trauma by using psychedelic drugs, and the Air Force eventually found out about it. He was charged for using illegal drugs. He was stripped down of his flying status. His marriage fell apart. His wife left him. He was put on trial for a possible prison term of more than 20 years. And like I said, because he was not a conventional combat veteran, there was no required psychological evaluation to see what influence his warfighting experience might have had on the misconduct. At his trial, no one mentioned the 188 classified missile strikes that he actually did. In January 2020, he was quickly convicted. After deliberating for a few hours, on January 17, the military tribunal returned with a guilty verdict on nearly all the counts. He was desperate to avoid prison, so he fled. The Air Force put an arrest warrant for a possibly armed deserter under the influence of drugs. He was eventually cornered in a canyon in Northern California. Ironically, the heavy armed police SRT units decided to send in a drone to locate him. And the drone did. Larson, determined not to go to prison, not wanting to kill anyone. He looked at the drone, smiled, then placed the AR rifle under his chin and blew his brains out.
He didn't kill himself. The lack of care from the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and a disconnect. And we're but a step away from law enforcement, civilian law enforcement, being able to put that kind of weaponry to use on Americans in these situations, in the disconnect. That's one thing. But what you just read, Juan, and I'm going to get emotional. What you just read is he didn't want to hurt anybody else, and because he saw a freaking drone instead of a person on the other end, he made the decision to blow his own head off because there wasn't somebody there to talk to him, because they chose to use a drone instead to save a life, to save lives. And I'm not saying that they should die, but the disconnect. This is a whole series of failures across the board. 182 missile strikes. That's going to weigh on you because you don't know. Just like the guys who do know, and they killed the enemy. And so now you have the situation where the law enforcement SWAT team is using a drone, and there's no human connection at all. He died because of a series of failures, and one of those was removing the humanity from the interaction. I sure hope we have something somewhat lighthearted to end the show on, because we came in so strong with Michael's stuff in 5 paragraph, and I just brought the mood down. I'm sorry.
Look, you know what? I'm glad you brought it up, because this is exactly the humanity that I'm trying to inject back into business with 5paragraph.com. Because the problem is we've got key performance indicators and all of these other different, things. Hey, we're going to do quantity over quality. We're just going to go out and bang sales all the time. You're removing the humanity from our occupation. You're removing the purpose from what we do day in and day out. And that's the thing. It's to eliminate humanity, right? It's a deprecation of humanity. And so that's the biggest thing. I mean, we need to be able to delegate as people to other folks to be able to carry it out. And there's a lot of people, myself included, where we want to know what needs to get done. If you tell someone what needs to get done and you have someone who's committed to the mission overall, they'll do it. This gentleman, he was told this is what needs to get done. He was briefed his op order. He went to work. He did what needed to be done. He was so committed to his mission that he continued to try to treat himself. God only knows if he tried to actually say anything to anybody, because that's the other side of humble honor, right? It's, oh, no, nothing's messed up with me, because then you're going to let the guys down, right? Or the rest of the team down. And so when you don't say just how hard life is,
by calling you out for it.
Right. And that's a thing where if it's in the debrief, it's one of those things like every Marine and observer. We had that when we were downrange, and there was accountability of the squad. When we came back, we debriefed. We, kind of called each other out on what was good, bad, ugly, and different, whatever. But you were learning how to work in a group of people. You're talking about an individual who is so isolated that they're literally put inside of a gaming chair, inside of a simulator. They only have a human voice going in through their ears. They don't have any human interaction. And then when they step out of whatever box they're in, that is classified, brother. We do not talk about that, right? So it's one of those like isolation, anxiety, anger, depression, guilt. These are things, that is the majority of what I talk to people about. Going and writing your action plan, I can do that all day. Go and click strategy session. Yeah, we'll do it.
I don't know about you, but
the
my
majority of people.
drinks.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's something that I said in my TED Talk.
I talk to you once a week and I drink. So
there you go. Well, some of us have to get through the day. No, that's what I talk about in my TED Talk, is drunks around drunks get drunker. right? So you have to find people that share in your same core values. They wish they are your fellow, and then you have the ability to add value back into that fellowship, right? So you're talking about an individual who had, to the best of my knowledge and hearing only that article, very little, if any, fellowship, right? So that's the thing, is I have no idea what it's like being a drone pilot, right? I truthfully have no idea. Have I ever flown a drone? Yeah, but on like one of those little video game box thingies when we were out in the field trying to get viz on what was on the other side of the mountain. That was it. I don't know what it's like taking off a predator and then blasting somebody with it on the other side of the planet. I just don't get it. And so, I'm sure that there is a veteran community specifically within that niche of what it's like being a drone pilot. I know that there's a veteran community of designated marksmen that I can talk to, and I have certainly got to employ a precision weapon against America's enemies. And then meanwhile, you scratch your head afterwards because, it kind of goes back to that line, an enemy of the gates. Like, it's a very personal thing when you shoot somebody with a precision weapon instrument. You can see whether or not that guy shaved that morning, right? I mean, you're face to face and boom, you are intentionally putting a bullet down range against just one person, right? And I mean, they might be causing violence or harm or whatever, but that's the other thing about being a precision weapons expert. You might just be killing somebody who's standing there. They aren't doing anything except for they're on the other team. And then you're going to smoke check them because you're supposed to be the one who, you might even start an ambush that way. You don't start ambushes with open bolt weapons. Right? You only start an ambush with a closed bolt weapon, and if you have a precision weapons expert, you start it with them. So you're going to fire upon someone who has no idea you're there. And we're told the whole time, oh, it's kill or be killed. And it's like, well, it seems like you're taking a little bit of initiative here. Right? So there's the other side, right? And I agree with you. You're removing the humanity. You're thousands of miles away. Right? I mean, that's something else that we talk about because we're all remote. We're not in studio right now, people, in case you didn't realize that, right? We're all remote. Right? And so you're a bot. You're a non-playing character, probably. Yeah.
I'm a bot. I'm a Russian bot, actually. So
you're Russian. That's fantastic. You're just gonna go into the corner and glitch like this with your rifle, right? That type of thing.
I'm in a bunker in an undisclosed location.
That's like. Love it. I swear that's like, okay, look, I'm not trying to shame anybody who's out there putting in a good day's work, right? But about 80% of the workforce that's out there is going to work so that they can pay to go do what they actually want to do. Right? So that's the thing that's going on, is you have a lot of people who are just trying to make enough money to go do what they actually want to do. Then you take somebody who's in a role where they join the military, correct me if I'm wrong, but this individual was in the Air Force, committed themselves to learning the occupation and the technology associated with going and employing whatever the system is. You're talking about serious mission buy-in and individual commitment to put in 10,000 hours to go and carry out this role. So, TC, you're exactly right. It's a string of failures by leaders that are in the military that are next to them for not recognizing it. God only knows whether or not it was just malicious. Oh, yeah, we're just going to use all of these pilots, aviators. We're going to use all of them. And then when we're done, it's cool. We got planned obsolescence. He already did 600 missions. I mean, he's supposed to be out of here anyhow, right? So, I mean, there is that. Yeah.
We got the wrap it up from Juan. Either that or he's trying to tell us helicopters are circling his house again. One of the could be both. It could be both. It's reminiscent of the old 80s movie, The Last Starfighter. I don't know if Skipper will remember.
Yes!
Love that movie.
Oh man,
they put
cult
these
classic.
they put these video games in all of these arcades across the United States, across the world, and it was aliens that did it because they wanted to find the best pilots. And when they finally found the best
Yep.
pilot, it was in Colorado or something. He was living in some campground somewhere, and they
It was
came down and
California,
kidnapped him
actually.
and put
It's
him in
like
a
2 hours from me.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah, it
Skipper,
had that
thanks.
weird,
Yeah.
had that weird
But they
frog head alien dude. Yeah.
yeah, and they came down and they said, "Oh, you're the best person at this game in the entire on all of Earth, and we're going to use you." That's what they look for. They look for these really good gamers to go out and do this stuff today. And so, Michael, real quick, one more time, where can everybody find you? Are you on the Tweetosphere? Are you Facebook?
Fiveparagraph.com is where people can find me. My primary social media is LinkedIn. I mean, I'm a business guy. I interact with other, business leaders out there. You can, probably find me on that other fake book Twitterverse thingy stuff out there. No, I get kicked off Twitter, so that's it. Anyway, but yeah,
Awesome.
fiveparagraph.com. Schedule a strategy session.
Juan says he has a light video for us to finish up.
What is the secret of your successful marriage?
Well, I'm actually a very traditional Chinese woman. It is in my culture, the woman should always let the man talk, let the man make decisions. And as a good wife, you should always cook, clean, take care of the children, and do all the house chores, and also look good and presentable in front of his friends. And whenever his friends come over, I make sure everybody's happy. I never argue with my husband whatsoever, because the man, he runs the house. He makes decisions, okay? Of course, I cook, I clean, I massage him, and, I'm very good in bed. It's just you have to be amazing in the kitchen, even better in bed. That's how you maintain a marriage.
And another...
Well, shut the fuck up! I'm talking, honey!
That's kind of how our conversations for the show go.
Hey, do you remember, real quick before we go, do you remember what kind of cake you could get at the Chow Hall?
Pound cake?
A stomach ache.
Oh, God.
See, this is why we don't let Skipper do jokes.
Oh, God.
You see what I put up with?
It's such a dad joke.
It's not even a dad joke. It's just a bad joke. Just a bad joke, Skipper. Shame on you. This is why we don't thank you. This is why we don't have sponsors for Veteran Nation. We get this close, and boom, just blow it right out of the water for us. Michael, thank you for your time.
Hey, it's wonderful. Thank you for having me.
I have a segment on or a series that's been a little sporadic but spread out across my show or my channel. That's patriotic business owners. Maybe I should reach out to you and see if we can have you on my show sometime to talk about being a patriot and a veteran and being a business owner. So
cool. Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks so much.
Skipper, what are you going to pitch tonight?
I just want everyone to know that we have our Facebook group out there, Veteran Nation on Facebook. We're also on TruthSocial, where we're also at Veteran Nation. Instagram at Vet Nation Show, and you can also find the show's Twitter account at Vet Nation Pod.
We had the Defend the Guard rally this last weekend in St. Paul, and I had the opportunity to introduce Governor Jesse Ventura and a philosopher and thinker, Scott Horton from Austin, Texas, heads up Libertarian Institute and antiwar.com, and he's not a hippie freak. Handed me this personal copy of this book, Enough Already. I don't know, can you guys see it? Yeah. Enough Already, A Time to End the War on Terrorism. If you are a vet from the combat zones or you love the troops and you want to support them, I strongly recommend you head over to antiwar.com and check out Scott's book, because this will give you the answers to why we keep putting our boys and girls in harm's way, what it's really about. And it's not Q related garbage. It's actual factual, real stuff. So if you want to know how to find me, you can find me at Robe Regiment on Twitter, TC Pearson on Facebook, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment on YouTube. And one of these days, Juan and I will actually get together and be able to talk about me starting a show under my channel, under my podcast name, once a week on Right America Media, but our schedules haven't been connecting. So, Michael, thank you for your time tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Heck yeah, it's been wonderful.
Always good to talk with you.
Yeah,
You have an
thank you,
open
folks.
invite. Whenever you want to come back and join us. We're always excited to hear what you have going on. And also tell some other veteran entrepreneurs to come reach out to us. Love to have more people on.
Right on. Very cool. Yeah, I'll spread the word. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Skipper, get us out of here.
That'll end it for our show. Ladies and gentlemen out there, thank you for joining us as always. And as usual, thank you for being worth serving.